Hey, what's going on? It's James here, your go-to solar energy expert, here to guide you step by step through all your solar options. I know there's a lot of misconception and misinformation about solar, and my goal is to educate homeowners just like you so you can make the best decision for your particular situation. So today's episode, I'm going to be breaking down the difference between a PPA and a lease option. So I know there's a lot of people wondering what the heck is the difference between the PPA and the lease, right? Because I know when you're looking into solar, it's really important that you get all the information as far as all the options that are out there in the market, as far as the contracts. You want to make sure you get into the best contract. You want to make sure all the warranties are there. You want to make sure you get the best equipment. I totally get it. And my goal is to teach you today exactly what the difference is between a lease and a PPA, right? So let's go ahead and jump right to it. So today's topic is differences between, and sorry for my penmanship, the PPA versus the lease option. Right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the first thing we're going to compare is the zero down payment. Right? So zero down payment. And I apologize for my writing. As far as the PPA or the lease option, there is zero down payment for each of them. So the next category is the rates, right? So I'm going to break it down into two different rates. One is going to be the fixed rate, and the next one is the escalator rate. I'll talk about this here in a second. All right, so the PPA does offer a fixed rate, meaning that for the entire term of the contract, the rate will never increase. And so does the PPA, right? So far, everything is pretty much identical. So the next topic here is the escalation rate, right? So normally what I've seen out there is a 2.9% escalation rate, right? Meaning that every single year, that rate that you have that first year, it's gonna go up at about 2.9%. Depending on which company you choose, this may be a little bit lower or that may be a little bit higher. But as far as the PPA, they do offer a escalation rate, right? And as far as the lease, there's an escalation rate as well, right? So the difference between the cost here, normally the escalation rate is gonna be a little bit less, right? The kilowatt hour is going to be a little less than the fixed rate. Right? So that would be the difference as far as the kilowatt hour rate. So let me reiterate that one more time. The escalation rate is normally lower, starts you off at a lower kilowatt hour rate than the fixed rate, right? So, but eventually that 2.9 escalator or whatever the escalator may be, eventually is going to catch up to the fixed rate, right? As far as when it catches up, that you would need to talk to the solar consultants, right? So that's that. The next one is the monitor, right? Energy monitoring. For each of these options, there's ability where you actually can get free energy monitoring. Meaning that you can track your production, you can track your consumption 24/7, either that's an app on your phone or on your computer, right? That's absolutely free. So far, as you can see, the PPA and the lease is pretty much identical, right? Nothing's changed. The down payment is the same. The fixed rate is the same, the escalation rate is the same, and also the free energy monitoring, they offer that for both, right? The next category is the payment term. Payment term. So this is how long the contract will last for, Normally in the solar industry, it's right around 20 years. That's the typical solar contract term. But I wouldn't be surprised if I see a term of 30 years, right? This is pretty common. As far as the lease option, exact same thing, just mirrored it. Most common is 20 years, but I wouldn't be surprised if I see a 30-year, right? But the 20-year is going to be the most common term for either the PPA or lease, right? So hopefully you guys are with me so far, right? So as far as tax credits, right? This is another huge misconception. As far as tax credits, because since the PPA is a lease option, you will not qualify for a tax credit, right? The tax credit is going to be cut directly to the solar company that you're working with, right? And as far as lease, same exact thing. So hopefully you guys are with me so far, right? So it's pretty cut and dry. There is two things that separates them from each other, and this is where a lot of homeowners get so confused, right? So like I said, this is probably gonna be the most valuable video that you're watching on the internet if you wanna learn what the heck the difference is between a PPA and a lease option, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and change my marker here. I'm gonna get the red one. This is the differences between the PPA and the lease, right? First and foremost, ownership. So as far as the PPA, you have an option to own the system. So the second and the final differentiating factor between the PPA and the lease option is the production guarantee. Production guarantee. So for a PPA option, you don't have a production guarantee, meaning that if the system was designed to produce 1,000 kilowatt hour and it only produced 500 kilowatt hour for that particular month, you're only going to pay for that 500 kilowatt hour, right? So there's no production guarantee. The great thing with a lease is there's a production guarantee, meaning that if the system designed to produce 1,000 kilowatt hour and it only produced 500 kilowatt hour for that particular month, the solar company will owe you that less amount of energy, which in this example, it's 500 kilowatt hour, right? So that's the differences between the PPA with no production guarantee versus the lease with a production guarantee. So just to recap, as far as the zero down payment, the PPA and the lease is exactly the same. There's no down payments. As far as the fixed rate, identical. They both offer a fixed rate. As far as escalation rate, meaning that the rate will increase every single year, whether it's 2.9%, it could be higher, it could be lower, they both offer that as well, right? Same exact thing for right now. Payment term, it can either be 20 to 30 years for both the PPA and the lease. As far as the tax credit, it's because the PPA option is a lease option, you don't qualify for any federal tax credits. So the difference between the two is ownership and the production guarantee, right? So as far as ownership, after 5 years or at the term of the contract, you have the ability to purchase the system at a depreciated value. With a lease, you don't, right? Make sure you understand that. As far as the production guarantee, the PPA does not offer a production guarantee, and the lease offers a production guarantee. So hopefully this helps you guys out in choosing the right option, right? Because the PPA and the lease is the hardest options to choose from, because the finance option and the purchase option, it's pretty cut and dry, right? So finance option, you're just going to the bank, getting money and paying off the system. Purchase option, you're literally just cutting a check and giving it to the solar company and you're done. The biggest misconception or the biggest confusion when it comes down to solar options is the PPA versus the lease. but now you guys are fully aware of the differences between both of them. So that concludes this video. Hopefully I shed a little light the differences between a PPA option versus a lease option. But before you take off, please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get all of my updated videos as it comes out. If you want to know how much money you can save with solar, go ahead and click right on this video, and I'll show you exactly how much you can save if you install solar on your home. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.